Hi everybody, I wanted to talk some more about a really kind of sad situation that occurred with a gal I know and a newly transitioning gal that they were going to have their lives together. And you know, I woke up this morning, as a lot of us did, to the Facebook page of the older gal who just celebrated her 1-year anniversary transitioning. And I'm not mentioning names because I'm not trying to compound the misery and stuff. I'm very protective of people's privacy and their right to keep their own business to themselves. There's enough people on the channel that know about them, and it turned into a really bad situation because I woke up this morning and the older gal, who's transitioned, had been on hormones for a year, had just moved up to Tennessee. The other one, the younger one, that was really cross-dressing and then started transitioning maybe, I don't know, a month or so ago. You know, went down and picked her up, and they had their fun road trip back to Tennessee, and they were going to start life together and all that. And it really blew a lot of people away, including me, this morning, when I realized that in reading the one gal's post, we'll call her Janie, that they had broken up. The one that was just started to transition, because she really ineffectively and improperly handled her transition, really from beginning to end, because she didn't know any better. And I grant that. You know, a lot of people, they have the feelings of being transgender. They don't know how to properly cope with that, and as a result, you get a really ham-fisted and screwed up sort of transition. But the upshot is that the one that just started to transition because of family pressure and friends and church and you know, Facebook harassments and other things, she's decided to break up and sort of be on her own to try to effectively transition. And I don't know how it's going to work out, because you know, it's one of those things, you only get one shot to really transition and do it the right way, and then if you don't do it, the complications are really extreme. You know, so it's all part and parcel of the reason why I'm doing this upload, is to say, if you're transgendered, you really have to lay the foundation, what I call the below ground foundation, the things that you don't see. You know, so many girls worry, as I certainly did, about the breast development and the facial feminization and the hair and the clothing and dressing the part, but that's all above the surface work once you do but the real work and the real thing that sets you up mentally to have a good transition is equivalent to when they build a skyscraper. It takes, you know, if a skyscraper takes 1.5 years to build, probably half that time, 8 months of that building time, is all the below ground foundation work needed to ensure when that building goes up in that 100-story skyscraper, that it doesn't topple over in a breeze or in a storm or in an earthquake. So that means that the foundation has to be super strong, but unfortunately it doesn't get the glory when it comes to building construction, but by far it's the most important thing of all. And the same analogy is very apropos for when you're transitioning. If you don't put the proper foundation work in getting counseling and understanding the mental forces that are at work in your mind, and you just willy-nilly start to transition because maybe some gal that you followed was a rah-rah cheerleader and telling you can do this and do that, well, that might have inspired people wrongly to sort of move forward. What you never really hear the cheerleaders talking about, and you can transition and you can be yourself, is the critical nature of having counseling and having somebody ride shotgun over you to say, you know what, this may not be what you think it is at all, and you probably never thought about X, but it could be X instead of Y. And you might think to yourself, you might have an epiphany moment and have saved all this hassle and harassment. Now consider the younger gal who came out and started her transition, and she chose this week to sort of go public because she was outed. And I've talked before about the difference between coming out and controlling events yourself, or being outed and found out and having events control you, and events totally and completely swamped this gal. Because when people found out that she was going to transition from male to female, all the church people that were associated with her on Facebook, all the friends that knew her in a professional capacity, all the family members just immediately went on the offensive, and they just opened up with every barrel and just absolutely blew this person out of the water, because she had no foundation to be able to stand up to the stresses of this. Because in fairness to family and friends, it really came out of the blue to them. You know, guys, I've talked before about your transition. When you transition from male to female, your transition is your family's transition, it's your friend's transition, it's your church friend's transition, it's everybody's transition. And you may get on and say, I'm just going to flip the bird to everybody when I transition, and to hell with it. But you're a hell of a stronger person than I am if you can do that. Because I tell you what, you want to wreck a family, confuse kids, and have them in counseling and everything else for years, trying to understand what's going on, then you just go it alone, and you step up to the plate and you try to swing for a grand slam, but your chances of doing that are minimal. All of us can learn from I don't care if you've been transgender for 20 years. I have, and I haven't been just 1 year on a hormone. It's been many, 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 many years at transitioning. We can all learn a reinforcing lesson from what is really an effective tragedy. We have a young, I don't know whether it's really a cross-dresser or somebody that's truly female, because she never had the benefit of gender counseling to tear into the mind and see what's at stake here. She never had these discussions with family members to just tell them, this is what's going on in my mind. Even if she had decided after a year of having these discussions with church and other people, and then had decided to move forward, the reality is the family, the friends, maybe not the religious group, but people would have been a lot more braced, and I do use the word braced, for the reality of this transition, as opposed to it coming into their lives like an 8.0 earthquake and totally causing dramatic ripples of upheaval. The upshot is, this gal, in her professional life, she works with other people, they will never see her the same way again. And you take on the aspects of being sort of a loose cannon in the employment world, and there's all kinds of problems, as opposed to proactively having come out and sought early support, as opposed to being sort of called out and then being in a denial mode. That wasn't me. No, that was somebody. That was my doppelganger. That was my double in life. Well, you just sort of set yourself up as somebody that doesn't tell the truth about things, and then you have the family that's just absolutely shattered because all of this became public on Facebook and things. So you have the ripple of all the ripples down to the kids, and then you think about the poor gal that moved down moved up from Florida to Tennessee to be with her, and now has to beat a retreat back to Florida somehow with very meager financial resources. So you can see the upheaval of a transition that I really stated that it was done in a very ham-fisted sort of way. Look, bottom line is this: we've all made mistakes. It took me 2 years to claw my kids back. But when people transition, a lot of times they think that they know best, and they don't think that they can learn anything from the girls that have been around for 5, 10, 15 years and done it. They think they can just poo-poo that experience, all that heartache, all those years of suffering, and just do their own thing because they think that they can they can reinvent a better wheel. Well, you can't. This is why I so wholeheartedly encourage girls that are newly transitioned, the young ones and things. A lot of the young ones are so caught up on the beauty and the aspects of the physicality and things that they're not properly equipped for the long haul, the cold winters of reality as you get older and the looks change and things like that. They hope to sort of capture things in the moment and have it frozen in time, this beauty of being a female. But you know what? We all continue moving forward, and time moves. And I tell you what, the reason the pyramids stand is that they have a hell of a foundation underneath it. And the reason the Empire State Building and all these great structures stand is because they have a tremendous foundation underneath them. And there's a lot of older transitioned and girls that have had success financially and in love and in other ways. They would have a lot to share with people on how to properly go about transitioning. And I would encourage everyone, if you're going to, if you're even thinking that you have a idea about transitioning, or you have gender dysphoria, seek out help from those that have gone the journey. You know, do not trust your own compass, or you're liable to find yourself in a bad place. You know, this is just my opinion, but I feel like it's something really had to be said. Yeah, I goof around, but I have my serious moments too. Because if I could spare even one of my friends, or one gal that's up and coming, or somebody that's stressing and thinking about maybe I should do this or that, spare them the heartache of all this disruption of an 8.0 earthquake, I would gladly do it again. So this is just my take on it. Thanks for watching, and enjoy the rest of your day. And if you are thinking about transitioning, goodness sake, get yourself into some counseling and get your mind explored a little bit, okay? For your own safety, health, and well-being, and that of your family. I love you guys, and I care. And yeah, it can be a painful journey. Take some steps to get yourself insulated and prepared. Okay? Thank you.